out. But at least we're just talking Jets and not Pirates yet. So
I've been muted already.
We'll stall a little bit. It's
I think I got it fixed. I'm
okay.
95% sure. Sorry about that.
Let me pull this up and see.
Yeah.
Real
Amateur
quick.
move out here. Yeah, this is 9:30. I'm not awake yet. Not the morning guy.
It's an early start, so I understand.
You were just up so late watching the New York Jets.
I was. That's actually what I was doing. Hey, I do want to remind you one thing, Joe, while Igo was checking that.
Yeah,
the
we got
last
audio
time
now.
an AFC East team lost like their franchise quarterback due to an injury, that was like Drew Bledsoe going down, right? We saw how that worked out for the Patriots. So, maybe Zach Wilson's Tom. Right, okay, never mind. I can't say it with a straight face.
Can I get a public response real quick, though?
Yeah.
Tom Brady, please. You have the opportunity to do the funniest thing of all time.
Come out of retirement?
Just come out of retirement, come win a ring for the Jets, and establish it that you were just never going to be touched as the greatest of all time. Go get your 8th. Just go ahead.
I mean, why not? Why not? The Jets have the defense to do it. He doesn't have to do too much. Just stand in the pocket and not tear his Achilles. And
just make Garrett Wilson look like prime Randy Moss. Just go ahead.
We had that discussion about turf last week, and Aaron Rodgers tears his Achilles, probably partly due to turf. But, all right, now that we got audio working, thanks, Philip, for straightening that out. Let's talk Pirates. If you're just tuning in or if you couldn't hear, we have not dove into ECU Marshall yet because we were too busy talking about Joey football's New York Jets and their success. But disappointing loss Saturday. We were both in the press box, Joey. Your first time taking in a live game up top and not on the sidelines. So we both had several thoughts throughout the game, but really got away from ECU in the fourth quarter. They end up losing 31-13. Marshall scores 21 unanswered, basically a reverse of 2021. And disappointing loss. Just kind of get your overall takes before we dive in deeper.
We talked about it in the box, and it just kind of seemed like we went too conservative too early. I mean, anytime you hold a lead, you want to hold the lead or you want to expand upon the lead, and that's what you do as a football player or coach. But you can't do it up 13-10, especially when there's 2 quarters to play, when you're going into halftime, and they're getting the ball because they've deferred to the second half, so then they've got the momentum of it as far as coming out of the kickoff and then the huge delay. It just kind of seemed like the foot came off the gas too much, and instead of trying to coast to the finish line, we hit the brake at the red light and didn't blow through it and go win. It's kind of difficult to say, especially because Garcia had a fantastic first half. I mean, we'll get into that later, but it just kind of seemed like coaching towards the back half of it limited what he could do and what was working well with all the quarterback runs and just the ability for him to play out of the pocket. And then all of a sudden, quarterback gets a chance to have some actual open reads when Flynn comes in. So I don't know if that was a play calling thing or just the look being correct, but something was kind of off there that all of a sudden Flynn comes in and every receiver's open.
It was interesting that we saw Garcia have the big run, and he had some – it seemed like there was a stretch of 2-3 series where it was a ton of design quarterback runs and the offense opened up, and then they went away from that. Is that trying to keep him safe? You can't – run him 15, 20 times a game realistically. But you do have Flynn, and if you're struggling to run the ball and throw it traditionally, then maybe you stick with that, try to score another touchdown. Because if you get to 20-10, then you feel pretty good in a game like that.
Yeah, if you score at any point with whatever you want to do. I mean, we saw the 32 personnel, which is a special shout-out to me and Philip because we love old school football. And then the Shane Calhoun touchdown, the dance was way better this year.
Much better.
Much better. You have a completely different ball game if you can score again after that. And all of a sudden, you've had one touchdown the entire night, and you're trading field goals back and forth. Maybe stick with what works until they have to stop it. And it just kind of seemed like they were so concerned about Marshall being able to stop the quarterback run that they just kind of got away from it without it being kind of answered.
So 13-10, ECU has the ball in Marshall territory. They miss the field goal, and then you end up pinning them back, or you get the ball back in good field position. Then you have a holding penalty. By the way, Shane Calhoun goes out of the game with an injury. Very next play, freshman tight end gets called for a hold. That's that was a huge play in the game because you're right on the verge of, I think it was like second and medium.
Yeah.
And it was a nice little play. It could have been third and short. Instead, holding. Then you get a hands to the face. All of a sudden, you're punting from your own 40. They go on and score instead of you scoring. So just a huge sequence, and we can get into, and we've already talked about why the offense needs to score more, but they did have a chance there to really, if you go score on those drives, kind of take control of the game. They just, failed to do that at that point.
Yeah, the double pass kind of takes the wind out of all the sails, and Houston said that in the conference or the press conference that they have the right defense call for that, and they were aware of it. So just kind of terrible timing, especially because as a player, they always tell you, watch for the big play, watch for the screen, the shot play, once you come off the field on a big turnover like that.
Yeah, and a young freshman, cornerback playing for the first time. They were in quarters coverage, and he just kind of left his man, and it was a tough scenario. But defense made their mistakes, but also they were on the field a lot. The offense, Joe, just through 2 games has not done much of anything. 1 touchdown drive, and that was courtesy of Jeremy Lewis and Chad Stevens. So what do you make of this offense right now? And I want to say, look, Michigan's got a top 10 defense. Marshall last year had a top 20 defense. So it's not like they're playing bad teams, but they should look better than what they're looking like. So what do you make of where this offense is right now?
It seems to be a tale of 2 halves. And Michigan's a difficult game to kind of judge upon. And we saw how that kind of played out with just the physicality and the way they were able to keep the ball within the hashes, essentially. I mean, they didn't even get out to the wing when they were playing Michigan, but started to go to a lot more outside zone and those outside hit plays. And Marshall started to kind of squeeze it in. And it seemed like we were so reliant on trying to keep them spread out as opposed to just running up the middle that we just kind of gave them a couple. And Mason makes a bad read, trying to make a play, trying to get them down the field to win the game, and just kind of gives them a free one, which punches in their second touchdown of the 3 that we mentioned are kind of unanswered. So the offense needs to wake up. And it's not necessarily that the players need to wake up. It's the coaches. It's the understanding of the game plan. It's the analysis of the defense. And you can sit here at any point the day after a game and talk about, oh, well, they could have done this, or if they saw this, they should have done this. But it's anticipation. So as a player, you kind of know that going in, but you still want to capitalize on mistakes. And Marshall busted 4 or 5 coverages where there was 2 or 3 guys wide open on the seams that they just couldn't get to because he's throwing from his back. And anytime a quarterback's throwing from their back, it's going to be a long day.
What do you feel like the conversations are right now? Because to me, from the outside looking in, when it looks this bad, like everybody's got to look in the mirror and ask, how can I do better? From the coaches down to the players, that means quarterback, running back, receiver, lineman. I touched on yesterday the Pro Football Focus rankings. ECU ranks dead last out of 133 teams in receiving grade through 2 games. So, the receivers got to step up. The O-line ranks pretty low as well. So, everybody's got to step up. The play calling, I think, has to be better. They got to put them in better situations to succeed. So, do you feel like it's a top-down situation offensively?
Oh, 100%. And I'll tell you, the first thing that Mike Houston does is he closes the door and he rips every single coach a new one, because that's just the way that program runs. And it's a top-down thing, so it starts at the top. He'll be like, this is on me. I have to be better prepared for these situations. We have to be better prepared, and so on and so forth, all the way down to the GAs who are getting yelled at because they didn't have this film for this play with this concept. And that's how football is. So you can't put too much weight into that. Obviously, as the media, we're going to freak out, and we're going to say it's all over, like everything should be gone, Donnie should be fired, and whatnot. But we're in the Donnie K cycle right now. Normally, we start out hot. We go a lull in the middle of the year. He wakes back up, and we average 35 points a game towards the end of the season. We're just in a lull of what it normally is. It's kind of like the cycle for, I'm sure Philip will get this one, Frenchie Cordero, where he plays like Barry Bonds.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he just flattens out, goes to AAA, comes back, plays like Barry Bonds. We're just in a cycle. It's a repeated thing. Play calling has to improve because at the end of the day, you need to know what your strengths are. And the strengths right now are not the receiving core. We've got balls dropped in contested situations. We've got open drops. We've got lack of understanding of route concept. So we've got 2 corners in the same spot, and that's never going to get you guys open. So it makes it hard for – the first thing we do is judge Mason, but you can't judge Mason if the read's not there. So if 2 receivers run the same route and he's supposed to go to the hitch and there's no hitch to throw, he's got to take off and run. So it's a lot more complicated than most people would see, and they see it on TV. They're like, oh, he's got to throw it to the open guy. Thank you for that.
There wasn't really many open receivers on Saturday. There were a couple that Mason missed, but, honestly, watching it up top, and we're pretty high up there, guys are blanketed. Nobody's getting much separation.
We're at the same height level as the coaches. So whatever we see is what the coaches are seeing. Obviously, there might be a little more kind of Rain Man action where they can see things moving differently that we can't. But we can see the same height. And there was 4 or 5 throws that Mason made into extremely tight windows that are like next level throws that unfortunately they didn't come down with, or just great play by defense because it's such a tight situation. So there's got to be a ton more separation for the receivers also.
Michael on Facebook says, do we feel like Coach Houston has the ability to self-reflect on the style of play and adjust if this continues all year? I mean, I feel like yes. I mean, I think in the past they've started 0-2 before in 21, and they made some adjustments, and I think there's been other years they've started slow and have adjusted, got it going, and then, like you said, hit that lull.
Right.
And then so it does feel like this staff can adjust and has adjusted. Now this year may be a different animal because you're still trying to figure out your offensive identity overall.
Yeah, and Houston's offensive identity, everywhere he's been, whether it was Citadel, Lenore Ryan when he was back in D2, or James Madison, it was always run the football. And that's what we're seeing now. The difference is we just don't have the home run hitter yet. And I think Bond will turn into that threat as he gets more experience under his belt and he understands where the cut's going to be, or if he needs to kind of bounce it backside to get over top of the safety. But right now it's just kind of throwing stuff at a wall and seeing what sticks. And that's not what you want to say in the third week of the season. But before people freak out here, it's only non-conference. We're not into the conference games yet. Obviously, you would have loved to beat Marshall. You would have loved to beat App State, but your season is not determined on the first 4 games.
Wait, you'd love to beat App State? You're already calling Saturday a loss? Dang,
I mean,
Joe.
you're smiling. I'm just telling you how it is. I mean, I'll be the first one to say, like, you'd love to go in 4-0 to conference, but you can go 0-4 in your non-conference, win 8 of your conference games, and go 8-4 and still play for the conference title.
It doesn't happen a whole lot, but it's possible.
No, it doesn't, but there's hypotheticals here, Stephen.
And I do feel like Coach Houston's teams usually get better throughout the season.
Yeah.
And so, like, look, and later in the show, we're going to talk about why this team can still be a good team and turn it around. And you look at the offense, you have the quarterback situation, you have the offensive losses from a personnel standpoint, but you got a new O-line coach, you got a new outside receivers coach, you got a new tight ends coach. Obviously, he was with the team last year, but stepping into a new role. So, like, it's not just the personnel, but you got the coaches, and you can see it on game day. It's still a mess. Like, I called it a mess. Like, the results speak for themselves. So until these guys all get on the same page, until they get some confidence, I think that it's just going to be a work in progress. And maybe 1 week sooner than later it'll click. Maybe it'll take till midseason, but that's just kind of where we are right now. And we got some comments about, hey, should ECU have gone to the transfer portal to get a quarterback to kind of advance this thing faster, but then you're giving up on your guys who have been in the program. So it's not an ideal situation, but it's the situation ECU's in.
Yeah, it's definitely the situation that East Carolina's kind of put themselves in. And you can talk at length that, oh, what if they would have gotten this guy or gotten this guy or gotten this guy? Mason had one of the best springs we've heard about. Flynn had one of the better springs we've heard about. So it was not for lack of understanding the offense, putting them in good situations, and anything that would kind of prove why the quarterback's supposed to be the quarterback for this team. So you can say, oh, what if we would have gotten this guy from Syracuse, or what if we would have gotten this guy from San Diego State and whatnot, but he might not have started.
Right.
He might have been holding a clipboard still at this point, doing little signals on the sideline with a red hat. So it's easy to sit back on Monday morning and go, wow, he could have thrown that ball, but you're in this situation now. So the coaches have to kind of understand this isn't plug and play. This isn't, okay, we have the new Holt-Nailers. Let's just throw Mason Garcia in. And that's what Pirate Nation needs to remember, too, here is Holt-Nailers had 70 yards against South Carolina in 2021, and we talked about that. And everybody wanted him to move to tight end.
They wanted to play Mason.
I wanted to play Mason immediately.
Yep.
So you got to give the kid a chance to have some growing pains and find his footing the same way that Holton had all these years. So either issue a public apology to Holt-Nailers for all the indiscrepancies that you guys called his head for when it was the beginning of the Coach Houston era and we were going 3-9, or that year that we went 7-5 and went to the Military Bowl where Boston College backed out. That's another story for another day. You have to give the kid a chance to develop, either him or Flynn. And it looks right now like they're trying to lean to Mason because his ceiling is so much higher. But also the call is maybe he doesn't have it. Maybe you have to go to Alex Flynn. Maybe you have to kind of accept that, hey, this isn't the team we thought it was. We need to transition. And that's what you mentioned, where the coaches have to change their ideology.
And maybe they, if you look at it from a non-conference perspective, you got 2 more games to figure it out. So, all right, let's get our first break in. We'll come back. We got a bunch of more comments from yesterday's show. We had like 100 tweets. I picked out 10 of the best without talking about firing all the coaches. So we'll get into some of that discussion later. And we'll continue this fun. I will say fun, but it's not really fun talking about ECU loss. We'll continue this conversation, this interesting conversation with Joe Sampson. On the other side, we'll be right back. You're listening to Hoist the Colors, 94.3 The Game.
A huge selection of new Toyotas is ready to go at Greenville Toyota. Rush in for the one you want before it's gone. Camrys, just $269 a month. RAV4s, ready to go for just $289 a month. Now at Greenville Toyota.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you farm to fork beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to fork beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
At GoEco, we don't just supply the office space. We create solutions for any environment. Our state-of-the-art commercial-grade video display is perfect for watching film with the team. From film study to the field, elevate your game with GoEco.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
New Toyotas are ready to go at Greenville Toyota. Shop a huge selection with new inventory arriving daily. Don't see what you want? We'll find it or order it for you. Plus, fresh trades are rolling in and ready to go for delivery today. Rush to Greenville Toyota.
Everything you need to know in the world of ECU athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Tuesday, September 12th. Joey Football.
It's better than Johnny.
Johnny Football is back in the studio, and Philip Pilkington is producing. Panthers, Broncos, 0-1. Jets, 1-0.
What a great day.
Tough weekend. Although I will say, Philip and I both picked against our team on the spread.
You did.
Got it right.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least I picked Denver to win but not cover, and at least the Raiders covered and won, so that was tough. But either way, we'll get more into that discussion Friday. I'm still terrible at college picks. I think I'm a combined 2-9 now, so it's I don't know what's worse, ECU's offense or my picks.
I don't know, but if I go to Atlantic City or Vegas, I know who I'm not inviting to go with me.
Yeah, leave me behind, man. I suck. So let's get back into ECU sports. We'll pick games Friday. I may just take a week off. I may just watch you guys do it this week, see if I can recover.
Just a self-imposed ban.
Yeah, y'all can bench me. I'll get the quarterback treatment. Watch from the sidelines. All right, let's get into some of these comments from Twitter. We got also some comments on Facebook, YouTube. We'll get to here in a minute. I wanted to read some of these from social media. We'll expand on them if we need to. Jamison Taunton says any team would find it hard to even stay at the same level of play after losing their NFL-talented quarterback, NFL-talented running back, NFL-talented receiver, great receiver, and NFL-talented tight end, and that is only on the offensive side. That being said, Mason has been in the system long enough to be comfortable, and he also mentioned, Rajay, we need to see more of him because he's kind of a established player. So Jamison making the point, we all knew there were going to be growing pains offensively, but I think also we did not expect it to look this poorly this early.
No, I mean, it looks like a hornet in a tin can right now. It's just kind of bad bouncing around everywhere. The problem with that is yeah, okay, Mason's been in the system for how long and all these different things, but he mentioned it. You lose 2 NFL receivers. And C.J. Johnson may not have stayed around in the NFL, but he's still an NFL talent as far as it goes for production. Where is Mason throwing the ball in practice? He's throwing it to the backups or to the ones if they give him those reps. And those are completely different receivers, completely different feel, completely different concepts. And if you have Keaton Mitchell as a security blanket, I mean,
this offense looks a lot better right now.
Yeah, I'd love to drop back, throw him a slip screen, and watch him run 85 yards. That's just not the situation we're in yet. And I think Bond will wind up being that big threat, but I think it's too early to kind of put the force onto him, especially just when you've got the 2 talented running backs, like we said. And Marlon Gunn, we saw Gunn get very limited carries as far as being the power back and that downhill guy who just kind of moves people around. And I appreciate them trying to get Ra back to where he was, but he is still coming off a knee thing. And you have to kind of manage his conditioning. And people say, oh, look, he conditioned the whole summer and all of camp, he got all these reps. It's completely different when you're in the game.
Yeah, it's a different ball game, and we just have not seen any of the running backs get on track. Like, we haven't seen back-to-back carries of, 5-6 yards and be like, all right, they're getting some consistent push. So it's just right now is an issue. I will say App State's run defense has been awful.
Putrid.
Game. 6 yards a carry. So if ECU can't run the ball this Saturday, they got major issues. Daniel Bauer says the first half was honestly a lot of fun. I had 0 issues getting water/beer at the stadium. Crowd was into it. As a Bears fan, this Pirate offense resembles some of the helpless groups I've endured watching the Bears. Seems like double trouble, no quarterback, and lack of playmakers. We touched on that. It's been a struggle. The dude on Twitter says defense looks promising but tough to hold and stop the opponent when the offense has so many short drives and 3 and outs. The whole offense looks like a crap show. Neither Mason nor Alex look truly cut out for the job, but it doesn't help when receivers drop half their passes. What do you make of the receivers right now, Joseph? Is it just, are they putting too much pressure on themselves? Are they, because none of them have really been the guy before, and so are they? Or is the talent just not there? What's your take on the receivers?
The talent's there, and that's not just my bias because technically I was a big slot receiver.
You were.
Look at my LinkedIn. The problem is yeah, we've mentioned these guys don't have the experience to be the guy, but now there's so much pressure on somebody turning into the guy that you get in your own head. You drop easy passes on the sideline. You let this one hit you in the chest because you thought you looked it in, and you start to play the way that you've been avoiding your entire career, which is hero ball. And hero ball gets you killed. And that's what they always say is you have to go out and do your job. You have to focus on your play. And these receivers are so concerned about run after the catch or making the big play or, oh, what if I make this play and then I spin around and I go score? They don't catch the ball first. And that's not a shot at any receivers. But when you get in your own head like that and you start to not look it in and play through the fundamentals, I mean, it really does get kind of rough. And Drew Dudzik used to always tell Blake Prohl this, and Blake was a phenomenal receiver. If you don't look it in, there's no run after the catch if you don't catch. And that's kind of where it falls into right now. We haven't caught the ball first to go run after the catch.
Yeah, I mean, it's very little yak. The first few games because you got to catch the ball.
Yeah.
So it's been tough.
Come on now.
And like we said, ECU's receivers rank dead last in receiving grade per Pro Football Focus. That's an unbiased.
Well,
supposed to be an unbiased.
Let's put air quotes on unbiased.
It's not me saying it. I'll say that. It's not Joe saying it. It's an outlet that evaluates game film and they make their own call. And they're saying ECU's receiving pass catchers. Everybody trying to catch balls right now is through 2 games, small sample size, but not getting the job done.
Yeah, it's definitely not getting the job done when statistically Navy has more passing yards than you as an offense. That's never a good thing,
tough.
Steven.
That's tough. Maybe if ECU could play Wagner, they could improve those numbers, though. I'm sure that had a lot to do with it.
I'm sure. I mean, it's the same thing we talked about with who was it that played Arkansas State first game?
Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Oklahoma only put up like 30 on SMU, but they put up 73 on Arkansas State, so their offensive numbers are inflated.
Robin Smith says defense looks great. Really impressed with their aggressiveness. Garcia fits the offensive philosophy, but isn't the gamer that Ehlers was through 2 games. Flynn will command a different offense. Drop back versus RPO. Flynn needs to be given a shot. Go Pirates, beat App. All right, so I said yesterday on this show, if I were the coach, which I'm not getting paid $2 million to make this call, and I would start Flynn versus App. He's a Western North Carolina kid.
Homecoming game.
You know, Mason got his shot. I don't know if Flynn's the answer, but throw him out there, see what happens.
Yeah.
Where do you stand? I mean, I understand, too, if they want to give Mason and just ride with it and give him the next 2 games to figure it out. At that point, I think you'll know. But you also don't want to go into conference play not knowing if Flynn's the guy either. So I would give Flynn a shot versus App and then maybe take some pressure off Mason, bring him off the bench. But it still seems like maybe we see Mason start. Just kind of your thoughts on that, the quarterback situation.
That's where I lean, and it's no slight on anybody talent-wise, but Flynn gives you the best opportunity right now to function as an offense. And if he can come in and you score in the first 2 drives and you throw Mason back out there up 14-0, kind of like an opener when you'd use it in a bullpen game in baseball, it's a completely different dynamic for you as an offense for him to feel, okay, we got a lead. Maybe I can take a shot here. Maybe we can do a double move. Maybe we can get this post ball over the middle of the field and kind of score a quick touchdown and get my confidence up. So I lean to say it should be Flynn's, but also I can see it going Mason, and then the leash gets shorter and shorter until it's Alex Flynn time.
All right. Pirate 2031, I think this is a good question because he says, why does Flynn look so much better? If the ceiling is so much higher for Mason, how long does the experiment go? We kind of talked about this off the air, Joe, and I would, like you said, like Flynn right now, he functions better probably around the whole offense. But he kind of is who he is. Like he could grow some more from game experience, but you know, he's not gonna throw the ball 50, 60 yards downfield. You know, on a line, do some of the things in the run game we saw Mason do. So like Flynn can go in, he can function, he can move the offense, he can do a good job. But if you look at what Mason did in the run game Saturday,
right?
If you could somehow combine a competent passing offense with that. That's a really good offense, but that's just the question. I guess that's the ceiling for Mason.
Yeah, and that's the ceiling is that game-breaking X factor we talked about in the preseason about, okay, if he can throw and he can run, I mean the threat with his legs and how deep of a pass he can throw off of his back foot or across his body and do those hero things that we saw Ehlers do so many times, the offense is fine. The offense will be fine. I mean, the output would be massive alone just from his ability to kind of throw the ball deeper than Holton could. And Holton had a great arm. And it's no shot on Flynn. And I've known Flynn for 4 years. We came in together, and he's my boy. And he's the guy who they kind of tell, oh, you're struggling with the offense? Go to Flynn. He'll teach you what to do. He knows what to do. So I love him to death, but his ceiling is not the 45, 55-yard passes down the field over the back shoulder while Josiah Hatfield's running in stride. It's, okay, let's throw this 15-yard dig. Let's throw the 13-yard curl route, and let's keep the sticks moving. And that's fine if that's what you want to do as an offense, but it takes away the big play ability, and it takes away that heavy shot that you're kind of hoping Mason kind of leans into and delivers a 75-yard rifle.
And we still want to see Mason do that because he's thrown one pass over 20 yards in 2 games. Looked at the numbers yesterday. Flynn throws a great ball to Hatfield. First play.
39 yards.
And it's like, all right, where's this been? And Mason can do it. So, like, why haven't we seen it? I don't know. Coach Houston, I asked him last night on the coaches show, and he just said, well, we tried to do some things, but we have a protection breakdown, or the receiver runs the wrong route, or Mason misses the guy. Like, it just seems to be a little thing every now and then. So just continued things with the offense there. All right, get back to more of your comments. Matt on social media says, inability for receivers to create separation is concerning. Identifying whether that's a talent/play call or a different issue prior to conference play is crucial. I look at it as we have 2 weeks to experiment and fix our offensive issues, or it's going to be a rough year. I think that's a pretty spot-on comment all the way around.
Completely. I mean, the separation is always the first thing you notice as far as any receiver just kind of doing what they're going to do, or can they get open in these tight situations? And it's not for lack of trying. I mean, some of these defensive backs have been tremendous as far as man coverage and sitting in zone, and Michigan did an unbelievable job at kind of limiting us to getting outside and creating those releases on the outside that we like to do, or we have done in the past. Marshall kind of we know how the refs favor opponents of East Carolina.
Sunbelt officials for that game.
Yeah.
And Sunbelt officials for this weekend. So whoever's doing the contracts for these games is not helping out ECU.
I'd like a word. But there was a lot of tug-in and push-offs and maybe some contact at the top of the route that might go a different way had it been a different officiating crew. So you look at it and they show the replay, and it's 15 yards down the field, and the guy is blanketing him. It's because, well, he's been holding since the 5-yard line. So anytime you hold somebody, they're going to be right in your hip pocket where you want them to be. But every DB holds. That's not a slight on any DBs, but it's difficult to judge the separation of a receiver when they are holding.
BLX Life says we're just not putting it all together yet. We have talent. Question is, can the coaching staff put it together by game 4 and continuing the conference play? Some of these guys aren't used to losing. He said need to let Flynn pass and manage, in my opinion. By the way, if you're going to say need Flynn to play, please spell his name right. It's F-L-I-N-N, not F-L-Y-N-N.
There's an I.
I
as in win.
Let's get the players' names right. If you're going to spell Joe Sampson, if you're going to call him out, it's not Sampson, it's Sampson.
I appreciate that.
S-A-M-S-O-N. There's
like
no
in the
P.
Bible.
Yep, no P. And Joe, you should be able to spell Joe. If not, you need to leave.
No.
Austin, this is why I love it, man. You got BLX Life, whatever that is, saying need to let Flynn pass. Austin says, I still think Mason gives us the best chance to win over the next few years, but he said it would come at the sacrifice of the season. If we want to compete for a bowl game this year, it likely can't be with Mason. All efforts need to be towards an efficient passing game with number 15. So long-term versus short-term, I mean, do you feel like that's a fair take or no?
No. The way I say that is, if you want to develop Mason and you think it's punting the season to develop him, that's fine. That's your opinion. But you can't say, oh, we'll just let him develop in the offseason again.
Yeah, he's got to do it in games.
We'll play Groundhog's Day all over again. We'll sit here exactly a year from now and go, well, Mason really doesn't look that sharp in the games. He didn't get any game reps. I mean, this is not a tale of, maybe if we wish upon a star and we water him, he will grow. No, he's got to play football.
And, I do think if you go 6-6,
yeah,
or whatever, but you find out Mason can be the guy and he's got 2 years of eligibility left, and you return pieces and make some adjustments this offseason, then you're set up for long-term success again. So I don't think it's a wasted year. Now, if you start Mason every game and you go 1-11 and you figure out he's not the guy, maybe then it's a wasted year. But I think he will improve if you keep riding him. It's just going to be – it can be rough.
It's trial by fire. And we joked about it in the preseason, and we were like, oh, well, you kind of have to baptize him by fire and let him work this out. He's working it out.
Right.
It's not for lack of confidence. It's not for lack of ability. I mean, we've seen what he can do as far as with his legs, and just he's a bowling ball when he runs. I mean, I don't think anybody tackled him on his first contact the entire game. Like his
he can make guys miss too. He's got a little wiggle.
Yeah. He's a little shifty now. He doesn't look it, but he's a little shifty. He's a big physical guy in the pocket. Like, he takes hits. He didn't shy away from contact by any means. And you just have to let him work it out.
Nathaniel Horton says it's too early to panic. The coaching staff will have this ship straightened out soon. We've seen this exact same thing play out the past 2 years. Garcia needs more game reps to build confidence. We need to take more risk on offense. We've been too conservative. I think those are all fair points.
Thank you, Nathaniel.
Brian Ferguson says Holton was given all the time in the world to develop into a starting quarterback because he was a local kid and a fan favorite, and it worked out well for ECU. Maybe give Mason some time. Play calling needs to change, though, to give the team a chance. Currently too predictable. Again, Brian, Nathaniel kind of on the same page there. And this is an interesting point. We'll close on this before taking our break. Blackbeard not the Blackbeard, not Edward Teach, but
I got excited.
A guy who says he is Blackbeard. He says college football has changed. Recruiting now takes a back seat to the transfer portal. The Pirates basically ignored it this offseason. Now the team doesn't have a quarterback. Houston has failed overall. 7-win seasons aren't great. Now we will be lucky to win 2 this season. All right, Blackbeard.
Yeah, I need to get on a soapbox with Blackbeard. We did not ignore the transfer portal. We may have
like 18 guys.
Yeah, we may have done a different position than what you were anticipating. I mean, we brought in 6 different defensive backs.
I'm going to look up the number of portal players. I
think it's 18.
See, everybody gets caught up in saying we didn't do it because we didn't get a quarterback. But like Igo and I were talking about yesterday, like, just because you want to get a guy doesn't mean he's going to come here.
Exactly.
And guys go, well, you've invested in this 4-star quarterback for the last 3 years. I'm going to sit there and, to your point, Joe, hold a clipboard with a red hat on the sideline. Why the heck would I transfer to East Carolina?
Yeah.
No quarterback wanted to transfer here.
We had Ryan Stubblefield transfer out because he didn't think he was going to get his fair shake, and that's completely legitimate to do so, especially when you want to play. So I don't expect somebody to go, I was a Power 5 guy for 4 years. Maybe I'll go play for Mike Houston and sit behind Mason Garcia for the first game. No, that's not the recruiting pitch. That's not what you want to do. So it's not that we neglected the portal by any means. Coach Houston's done a good job at understanding some of the needs for this team and going to get some of those guys. I mean, Jack Powers was a portal addition. Jay Sowell was a portal addition. Gerald Green was a portal addition. These are all just players that have kind of popped up recently. These aren't even like the long-standing portal guys.
17 guys they brought in from the portal this offseason. So I don't think the portal was ignored. You could say, hey, should they have brought in a transfer quarterback? Hindsight's 2020. We talked about it yesterday. Maybe so, but they believe in Mason and they believe in Flynn. So it's like, yeah, it hasn't worked out to this point. Maybe it won't work out. Maybe it'll turn out to be a mistake. But if it does, I promise you they will get a portal quarterback this offseason if Mason can't figure it out, if Alex can't figure it out. So,
I mean, anytime that your livelihood is determined by 18 to 22-year-old kids, and now in some cases 25, but that's a different story.
Or 30.
Or 30. Or I think he's 32 now, our punter. I think Larson's 32. Maybe he's 31, turning 32.
Punter, by the way, too.
Yeah, that's another story for another day. He did, but you can't have the indecisiveness of, okay, who's punting this week? Who's punting next week? You have to let them get a flow, and you have to let them get chemistry. And it's kind of like, okay, my 2 kids, maybe I'll adopt a third because they're not living up to what I want them to be.
No. Wait, you got 2 kids?
No, I don't have 2 kids. Money Mike does. But he's basically got, what's our roster right now, 125. So it's not like he's neglecting his children and, okay, well, let's go get the new shiny toy. He's going to let the investment try and pay off.
He is Joey Football. We got to get a break in. We'll come back. We will tell you why you should not give up on this season, why the Pirates can go to App and win, and why they can turn their campaign around. We'll talk about that. We'll take any other questions you got on the other side. Hoist the Colors, 94.3 The Game. We'll be right back.
Air Service is back at Pitt Greenville Airport, offering safe, clean facilities and flights from American Airlines. That means the short commute, quicker lines, and better prices that get you where you're going fast and easy. See it for yourself. There's great things inside at Pitt Greenville Airport.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers in Greenville, plus the all-new Tiebreakers in Winterville. 2 real burgers, better than anybody. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, real burgers at its best.
Everybody loves burgers.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast. Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's best small town.
Just because voice-over IP telephones are the latest technology in the telephone world doesn't mean they're the right choice for you and your business. Whether your internet provider is unable to support a voice-over IP phone system, or you don't have a need for high-tech features and simply want to stick with a traditional system, Spain Telecom is here to help. Spain Telecom offers a variety of services to keep your business connected and competitive. We're confident we can find the right phone system for you and your business, a system that addresses all your communication needs. Looking for a new phone system that won't break the bank? In addition to new systems, Spain Telecom also offers gently used systems that are in great shape and can save you money. No matter your needs, Spain Telecom has a solution for you. Whether it's voice over IP, on-premise systems, new or used, give us a call at 252-353-2006 and let Spain Telecom help you with your communications needs.
Pizza? Ooh.
Yes. All pineapple.
No.
What's wrong with pineapple on pizza?
I only eat pizza with pizza things.
That makes sense. Pineapple is a pizza thing. Also makes sense.
Is it though?
This tastes great.
That we agree on.
Let's agree to agree. Pepsi Zero Sugar tastes great.
Can't you just pick off the pineapple?
Air Service is back at Pitt Greenville Airport, offering safe, clean facilities and flights from American Airlines. That means the short commute, quicker lines, and better prices that get you where you're going fast and easy. See it for yourself. There's great things inside at Pitt Greenville Airport.
What's happening?
Tell me. What's happening? Every ECU fan's one stop for all things ECU athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back into the show. Hoist the Colors, 94.3 The Game. We're going to tell you here in a second why East Carolina can turn the season around. But first, we got a couple comments we got to get to. Pirate 2031 says, Joe didn't play enough for us to spell his name right. Just kidding. We love Joey football. Any rebuttal there?
I think my rebuttal to that is I have 2 rings, and those are the 2 rings from the Mike Houston era. God bless me in many different ways. I just was not gifted enough to play in our very talented tight end room. As you've mentioned now by all these comments, the NFL tight end who is now with the Giants practice squad, Ryan Jones. Shane Calhoun. Was I going to play over him? Absolutely not. Before that, Jeremy Lewis. Was I going to play over him? Absolutely not. So, I'm okay with where I am.
Hey, you're on the show, and they're not. So
this is true.
That's the main thing.
2 rings.
Main thing is the main thing. You got 2 rings. You're breaking down the Pirates. You're telling us how ECU is going to turn its season around. We were in the same spot in 2021. Much different team. But can it correlate? East Carolina, beaten pretty soundly in the opener in 21 by App State, beaten soundly by Michigan. Week 2, you come home, should have beaten South Carolina, couldn't move the ball offensively, threw for 70-something yards. Tyler Snead had just as many passing yards as Holton Ahlers that day. And everybody wanted to bench Holton and fire Donnie. They were 0-2, going to a Sun Belt team, Marshall. Maybe they were Conference USA at the time. Either way, now you get the same scenario here.
I feel like it's kind of storybook here.
It is. So
I feel like we're role
see a
reversal. Yeah, we could see a repeat. I hope it doesn't come down to 21 unanswered points in the fourth quarter like it did for Marshall. But, I think that this does kind of set up for a good way to kind of find your footing. I mean, the atmosphere will be there. App is always a tremendous place to play from what everybody's told me. Obviously, East Carolina, the one run we had against App State was in Charlotte, and there was tons of App fans there, but it's kind of 50-50. But you kind of feed off of that, and I think the offense will find a way to kind of want to silence them early, and the defense always plays exceptionally well in any situation, especially when their back's against the wall, and we'll put air quotes there because of hostile environments. But I'm not counting them out yet.
So we'll get more into this matchup. I do think ECU has some things going for it. App coming off an emotional game. They're being told how good they played. ECU being told all week how crappy they are. You see this all the time in sports. You get the bounce back versus maybe the letdown. And I don't know if ECU can score enough to win this game, but I do think they'll be able to move the ball on App better. But, whether it's this week or long term, what are some of the things about this team that give you confidence going forward? For me, I feel like the defense is in place to be very good. Like, you take away 5 plays, and I know you can't do that, but You just got to correct those mistakes.
Right.
And the defense, I think, is as good as it's been under Mike Houston. Do you feel the same way? Do you feel like they can, kind of lead this team? And we'll get into the offense here in a second. But do you feel like the defense is good enough to have a good team?
I think the defense is going to carry this team until we can kind of work out the kinks as the offense goes. And you saw how close the game was before we went into the extended rain delay and whatnot in the second half. And however you want to eliminate or kind of decide what factors to look at and what to not look at, the defense was outstanding. I mean, they forced long play after long play after long play, and an NFL back like Ali just kind of showed his talent and why I think he's a top 10 running back in the draft by rankings coming up this year, which is just a tremendous thing to kind of talk about anyway. But this defense is going to keep them in ball games. The special teams play is going to improve, and that'll keep them in ball games also. If Bond can kind of find his footing and hit the seam, I mean, he's got so much speed on the return that this will be a team that just kind of has to, much like the 2000 Ravens, just score 14 points. The defense will hold them. But I don't know if that's what this weekend's mindset is, but I think this defense is good enough that if you can hold them from kind of being an explosive offense, you'll always have a chance.
So offensively, is it basically just, hey, let's commit to, and maybe this is how they tried to play it against Marshall, kind of ball control, limit the mistakes, but at the same time you do have to score. Like, you got to score more than 13 points realistically to win, especially in this league. You're going to have to score at least in the 20s, if not the 30s. So what gives us hope offensively? I guess for me, you still got a ton of youth gelling, and they should get better theoretically the more they play, and you should play more, not easy defenses, but more manageable defenses going forward.
It's week 2, and as much as we want to joke about it and say, like, oh, the season's over already, it's week 2. So, yeah, you would love to be sitting here 2-0, but it is still only week 2. And one of the strength coaches actually called me, and he was like, yeah, tell the guys to turn in their pads, take their helmet off, just make sure their exit meetings are, my bad. I thought the season was over the way we're talking, because at the end of the day, you'd love to start 2-0, but we started 0-2 in 2021, kind of had some closer games towards last season too to kind of start it out, and there was no worry about, okay, can we perform at this level? Can we do these things? You just have to find your footing, and it's all about finding your offensive game plan. And with no preseason like the NFL, you really are just kind of praying your game plan was what you thought was the strength of the team, because you're going against your own defense for so long. So these coaches will bounce back. They'll understand. Donnie will find something to exploit, and we'll see it early, and then hopefully they can kind of adjust to it late. But if not, it could be a long game. But I do think that the Pirates' offense can kind of capitalize on some of the stuff that UNC capitalized on, especially with the run game.
All right, let's get our final break in. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the show. We got a couple more comments about Joe and how great he is at radio now that he's retired from football. We'll talk about that. Hoist the Colors, 94.3 The Game.
5th Street Hardware is the home of the $9 lunch special Tuesday through Fridays. $9 specials every day, including the famous Burger Day on Tuesdays, Flatbread Pizza Wednesday, the famous 5th Street Hardware Reuben on Thursday, and fried fish or shrimp on Friday. Plus trivia on Wednesday nights and live music every Thursday nights. And the Prime Rib Brunch Buffet has returned on Sundays. You heard that right. The Brunch Buffet with all the great items, including prime rib. 5th Street Hardware in downtown Greenville.
Tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
You can't name a lot of things that I didn't do. Stacking paper like a book, not a Kindle. You outdated, I'm the one they getting into, and I ain't break a sweat. Let's get it.
Are you game day ready? Anson Belt, the official belt of ECU Athletics.
Are you ready for a digital hair color revolution? The Color Master Factory by Chi and LG. A masterpiece of innovation, unlimited color formulations, limitless possibilities. Long-lasting color. Chi.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human. About creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
Back to Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo.
Drink up for me, hearties, yo ho.
On 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Got a few minutes left. The comments section is buzzing. We got some guy named Thicky Bull saying LOL. I don't even know what he's laughing at.
What a name.
I guess he's laughing at you, Joe.
What a wild name.
Some guy named Nick Sampson. Nick Sampson, 87. Good job, Joe, he says. Who's
Wow.
that?
That'd be my little brother. So I appreciate the Sampson family trying to boost me up that these people are picking me apart.
By the way, Nick Sampson, not Nick Sampson. So S-A-M-S-O-N.
Yeah, spell my name wrong. Get his right.
Pirate 2031 says, Joe, we love you. Only joking. You are super good at this radio thing. True pro in such a short period of time. Wow. He went from bashing you to now just praising you. Don't let it go to your head, man.
No, God, no. I'm still getting fired.
And Maddie Ice says, as Joe's roommate, I personally think he could do better at taking out the trash.
Thanks for that. Clean a dish.
Wow. So is y'all's place just a pigsty?
No, we're just on the 3rd floor, so nobody wants to just take out the trash. It's
That's
just,
fair.
We'll go on the way out.
So we got Mike Houston's press conference coming up. If you're listening to our live edition on Facebook, YouTube, we're live streaming this. If you're listening to our radio version, it's either happening or has already happened. We'll both be at this press conference. We had the coaches show last night. The vibe, and he didn't come out and say it, but I feel like there's a good chance we see Mason Garcia start again this weekend, although the opposing coaching staff, they listen to all these comments. They listen to the press conferences.
It's early. It could be a smokescreen.
I mean, at this point, we heard last week it was going to be a 2-quarterback system.
We did.
So I don't know what to believe anymore, even as somebody who's pretty close to the program. So what do you believe in?
I couldn't tell you because for the last...
You don't have any sources?
Yeah, God, no. For the last 2 weeks, I've heard all about Sam Danka get into pass rush, and I've yet to see Sam Danka pass rush once. So that's one. We heard the quarterback 2-system thing on a serious note, and I think that was kind of they weren't sure who they were going to roll out yet. It was going to be a feeling, and I think it was always going to be Mason, but I don't know if they knew how quick Mason's line would be as far as if they need to pull him off the stage or not. So we could hear a lot of things this week that are like, oh, well, we're experimenting with some things. Could even get Raheem Jeter in. And I don't see Jeter playing right now, but they could want to use it to try and throw App off and do all these different things. And I don't want to reveal secrets, obviously. Like, we're very close to the program, and I'm sure, there are sources somewhere that could tell us a thing or two, but you don't want to speculate and not be correct. But I think it is Mason's team to start. I think the leash gets shorter and shorter every week.
Sam Danka, 4 snaps last week, 2 pass rush attempts.
Get him in.
Get him on the field. Come on, Coach
3rd
Harrell.
and 35, I go. Put him in.
He wasn't on the field, and ECU gave it up.
If that is not the time to send Sam Danka to pass rush, when is the time?
All right, we got to get out of here. We'll be back tomorrow, 12 noon, and we'll also live stream early, 9:30. See you then.
Stephen Igo. Tune in weekdays at noon for all things ECU sports. Get a recap of the show at 943thegame.com, on Twitter, Facebook, or anywhere you get your podcasts. We're back tomorrow with more of Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
R&D Brewing is proud to partner with the ECU Pirates, and now you can enjoy Pirates Brew, the official craft beer of ECU Athletics. Pirates Brew is a carefully curated light beer that embodies the spirit of ECU, a refreshing and easy drinking light beer. Pirates Brew by R&D Brewing is available now at grocery stores, local retailers, and at ECU athletic events.
Head over to your favorite store and enjoy a nice Pirates Brew today, or else you'll walk the plank. Hand me another Pirates Brew.
Fifth Street Hardware is the home of the $9 lunch special Tuesday through Fridays. $9 specials every day, including the famous Burger Day on Tuesdays, Flatbread Pizza Wednesday, the famous Fifth Street Hardware Reuben on Thursday, and fried fish or shrimp on Friday. Plus trivia on Wednesday nights and live music every Thursday nights. And the Prime Rib Brunch Buffet has returned on Sundays. You heard that right. The Brunch Buffet with all the great items, including prime rib. Fifth Street Hardware in downtown Greenville.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast. Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's best small town.
Just because voice-over IP telephones are the latest technology in the telephone world doesn't mean they're the right choice for you and your business. Whether your internet provider is unable to support a voice-over IP phone system, or you don't have a need for high-tech features and simply want to stick with a traditional system, Spain Telecom is here to help. Spain Telecom offers a variety of services to keep your business connected and competitive. We're confident we can find the right phone system for you and your business, a system that addresses all your communication needs. Looking for a new phone system that won't break the bank? In addition to new systems, Spain Telecom also offers gently used systems that are in great shape and can save you money. No matter your needs, Spain Telecom has a solution for you. Whether it's voice over IP, on-premise systems, new or used, give us a call at 252-353-2006 and let Spain Telecom help you with your communications needs.